Well, now the Los Angeles Police Department is calling on LeBron James to put up $100,000 to match the reward money for that shooter who shot two police officers. And I'm wondering why specifically LeBron James, because he's been outspoken about police brutality and the criminals in the police department. And somehow they're trying to make it sound like LeBron James and anyone who protests against police brutality is anti-police. When did accountability and equal rights become anti-police rhetoric? That's my question. And when did law enforcement officers become exempt from the law? They are not exempt from the law. That person who attempted to murder those two police officers, he will be caught. And he will be brought to justice. Why? Because all victims matter. And similarly, when someone who is employed by the police department uses his weapon unjustifiably and murders an unarmed civilian, that individual must be arrested and brought to justice just like everybody else. No police officer is exempt from the law. And to somehow demand that LeBron James or challenge LeBron James to put up $100,000 to match the $100,000 that has been put up by law enforcement to catch the shooter, as far as I'm concerned, is an attempt to simply silence any protest by African Americans, and to somehow say that this is not a competition. That somehow a law enforcement officer gets shot, and that somehow justifies the aggression by law enforcement officers across the country. Nobody's above the law. And for the fraternal order of police and conservatives to believe that somehow police officers should have qualified immunity, which means they are exempt from punishment, is ridiculous. All victims matter, whether it be a police officer, whether it be a civilian, an unarmed civilian. All victims matter. And so this concept that somehow LeBron James has to prove that he is not anti-police by putting up his own money. Nobody's anti-police. We are against criminals in the police department and those who feel that we have no rights that they are bound to respect. Our constitutional right is not subject to anybody's opinions. And you cannot murder innocent, unarmed people and expect to simply make up all kinds of ridiculous excuses to justify it. All victims matter. LeBron James should put up the money, but he must make it quite clear that he's not anti-police, he's anti-criminals in the police department. Please don't try to distort the issue.